Hi there. This presentation is titled Gnosticism and Secrecy Revisited. Uh, I'm very worried. Maybe I shouldn't worry, but I do worry about this day and age. Maybe it's a sign of growing old or something. I've lost the confidence and recklessness of youth. Who dares wins kind of thing. I'm not sure I go along with that now. I think there's a certain conservatism which is required by life in order not to make a complete pig's ear of things. And maybe you're just discovering that for yourself at this stage. I've always been very rebellious, you see. Anything that was rebellious, I was your man. But I am worried about things. I'm worried about knowledge, you know. The greatest knowledge that there is should be the knowledge of the Holy Spirit and of God and of heaven and of the stuff of spirituality, humusios, the transfiguration, the transubstantiation of the wafer, and all this. This is the true knowledge of things, to be distinguished between a lot of false knowledge, which is either pure gobbledygook, pure fantasy, pure distraction, or it does exist, but it doesn't help us very much because all of the psychic realms and spiritual realms and esoteric realms that exist and astral realms are all basically within the sphere of the demiurge and actually sort of represent, in a collective form, a complete dead end. So you arrive at this dead end and you don't get anywhere. You don't really escape yourself. It's like, when they say that if you go on holiday, you take yourself with you. If you go on a pilgrimage, you take yourself with you. If you get married, you take yourself with you into a new relationship. And you're still confronted with the same challenges that you were before, only in a different setting. So here I've got this represented by three spheres. One sphere, which is the first one here that you see at the top. Where's my cursor gone? There we are. And this represents a physical sphere. So this is the physical sphere here, okay? And this is where our normal, quote, normal consciousness is situated. I'm sitting in front of this computer, presenting you with this little talk. And I'm in a place where, generally speaking, A causes B. This is the physical universe. So you've got your billiard balls, and one billiard ball hits another billiard ball and gives it momentum. Okay, A causes B. That's pretty much what you would expect. And you try the experiment over and over and over again, and different people try it in different parts of the world and on mountain tops and in submarines, and they find that A causes B. The same thing happens. And in fact, the same laws of physics apply everywhere. If you did the experiment on Venus or Alpha Centauri, you'd find A causes B. The same thing. The same laws of physics apply everywhere. Okay, they don't change. And they don't change in this physical universe, full stop. But now you're going to say to me, well, I've observed some very strange stuff in my time, very strange, miraculous stuff, which seems to go against all that we know about physics altogether. And true it is that we may not know quite as much physics as we think we know. But I'm going to sort of ignore that, really, because generally speaking, when we talk about esotericists and hermeticists, we're really talking about these two spheres here, operating in these two spheres. And one of them is the astral, okay, the psychic sphere, where you could observe A causing B causing A. That the effect of something could actually change the cause of it. And some people say, well, we can observe this actually in this physical universe, but that could refer to another function, another universe altogether, another psychic dimension, as one might call. And where the psychic dimension overlaps with the physical dimension, you could get what I call M2, which is the sort of miraculous part. And this is this kind of where these spheres overlap, okay? And then I called here, and there could be many other dimensions. So the other dimension, other esoteric dimensions could exist, etheric dimensions, one might say, above the psychic dimension. Here you could have loads of different possibilities for causality. You could have A causing B, or causing C, and C causing A. There's loads of different configurations of causality. But it is all still causality. And of course, you could say, well, the miraculous things happen because this dimension, where this dimension impinges on the physical, you're going to get very strange effects happening. So I call it miracle M2. And of course, where you get all the dimensions meeting together in a big conference of rivers, as it were, you're going to get the big M, which is the big miraculous stuff which happens. I don't know, bleeding Buddhas and walking idols and people getting healed from terminal illnesses that had no chance of getting healed, and all the stuff that we hear about, all the fantastic, mysterious, strange, impossible things that can happen. The miraculous. Now, I don't want to go into the miraculous because the theology of the miraculous is incredibly complex in philosophical theology, for example, and has been discussed by people who know a lot more about it than I do. I'm just saying that, where all the dimensions exist, I have a picture of the miraculous happening. And then the consciousness, your everyday consciousness, experiencing this miraculous, all these different miracle spheres, M1, M2, and M3, and having a great time about it. But I also wish to draw your attention to the fact that causality is one of the things that is contained within the demiurge sphere, that all these spheres, the physical, the astral, many, many different dimensions and spheres of the psychic, esoteric, etheric, are all part of the sphere, the demiurge. So these three spheres that are linked together so happily are just imprisoned within this massive sphere, which is represents the demiurge, you see. And the demiurge has a lot of things. It has created a lot of things. Created all these different spheres. It's created causality. It's created scarcity. It's created the adversarial spirit, which is the action of two opposites together to create a synthesis, or to create something new out of the conflict and discord between two other objects or situations or energies. The demiurge has created time and space. It's created conditionality. It's created determination, and it's created a lot of different qualities which we can become aware of through our consciousness on the physical plane. But we could also simply see all these things reflected in all the different esoteric spheres that we might experience. So the fact that our experience can go into any of these spheres, here and here, really doesn't avail us of anything. And the fact that we can become conscious of miraculous things that happen that shouldn't happen on the physical level is also neither here nor there. Because what we want to do is go from the consciousness of the physical, the consciousness of the demiurge, the consciousness of all the things that the demiurge has created, including the astral and the etheric. We want to skip out of these things, and we want to go to a direct experience of God, of perhaps of a-causality and of all these qualities that I've listed here, unconditionality as well, and a pure love, and a pure excellence, and pure beyond space and time, and all this kind of stuff. So, and beyond and to a place of concordance rather than discord, concord rather than discord rather. And so we've arrived at this this sort of situation. We're also listening for telephones ringing. And we've gone to a place of extreme where necessity does not exist. So somebody is ringing me now out of necessity, but this necessity does not exist in a dimension of the Spirit of God. So this is what we can determine here. And so basically what I'm saying here is that unless the aspirant, unless the Chela really gets the idea of going from the physical level, from the sphere of the demiurge, to going outside the sphere of the demiurge, all this knowledge of the esoteric and the etheric bodies and all this will not avail them anything. As I said, either it's all just gobbledygook, and it sometimes sounds like gobbledygook as well, and seems to be completely illogical and completely inconsistent, and completely against Occam's razor, for one thing. But it's either gobbledygook or it should be, in fact, secret teachings, secret knowledge, occult meaning hidden. So you're just going to keep it all secret, because, and this is why you need to keep it secret, because you don't want people to get stuck in any of these spheres and to crazily imagine that these spheres are over here, are outside the demiurge, because they're not. They are all contained within the demiurge, and so you're not actually outside anything at all. You're still in the game. You're still playing the game that the demiurge has set up for you to play. And of course, you take yourself with you wherever you go, until you go into all these magical realms, and you're still yourself. You don't get transformed at all. You just think you're transformed. You just think you're in love when you're not in love at all. It's just a passing distraction, a fantasy. You're in a fantasy world. So either it is actually a fantasy world, all these worlds, even if they do exist, you can get lost in them. So you've got to get the idea. You've got to keep on getting your pupils to get this idea that they've got to go from here to there. Okay, you've got to go from there to there. And if they don't get that concept, and you've got to keep repeating it over and over and over again, if they don't get that concept, you can't actually introduce them to any knowledge which could be. I mean, they could go from these. I mean, if you introduce this knowledge to students, they've got to go from there to there. You see, they've got to be able to skip out of any sphere, esoteric or etheric sphere, and go into the realm beyond the demiurge. But unfortunately, because it's so risky, because it's so distracting being in the psychic realms, I think of my two great aunts who wouldn't leave the house until they'd done the tea leaves, who were obsessed with telling the future with tea leaves, to the detriment of their sanity. Unless you can keep skipping, and unless you can see that it's all illusion, you can't teach people this knowledge. So it really has to be secret. I mean, if somebody says, "What about ghosts and Ouija boards?" and you have to almost deny it. You have to say, "Oh, we don't have anything to do with that." If people join your esoteric group, they say to you about Ouija boards and ghosts. "Oh, we have nothing to do with that." Oh, even if you have to keep secret. You have to deny it. You have to say, "Oh, nothing to do with magic." You don't learn any magic of this group. What you do learn is that there's a sphere of the demiurge, a physical sphere, and you have to go beyond it. You have to, go into introspection, spontaneous introspection, and wait for the action of the Holy Spirit to act on you, to give you gnosis. All right, and so you don't actually mention anything about transcendental magic of any kind whatsoever until you have evidence that the person really understands the action of the Holy Spirit. And then perhaps you can introduce them very gradually to the various spheres, astral spheres and etheric spheres that exist, or do they not exist, whatever. You can introduce them very gradually, but you have to teach them to keep waiting for the action of the Holy Spirit within these spheres. because as you get more rarefied, more subtle, within the great sphere of the demiurge, you get more trapped in that sphere, and the Holy Spirit has more trouble actually accessing you or reaching you. When I say more trouble, I have to be careful what I mean by that. I don't mean trouble because the Holy Spirit can go anywhere. It's just that your consciousness has more trouble being aware that it has to jump from whatever sphere it's in to the totally transcendental sphere that exists outside the sphere of the demiurge. So that's why knowledge has to be secret, very, very secret. But of course, nowadays it's in every bookshop. It's all over the internet. Everything, the Golden Dawn stuff, the OTO stuff, the Hermetic stuff, everything. Everything's everywhere. You know, but Freemasonry, all the secrets are everywhere. Secrets of Reiki, I don't know. It's all over. Everyone can access everything. And everyone says, well, this is great. You know, this is truth and justice. This is the age of truth, where nothing is secret, where everything is open, you know. Glasnost everywhere, openness. But you know, people an open hand can actually distract you from the hand that is closed as a fist that's coming towards your face. You know, you're looking at the open hand whilst nasty things are coming towards you, which you've been distracted from seeing. Okay, bear that in mind. That just because something is open, it doesn't really mean that it's going to be good for you. Okay, it doesn't mean, you know, the closed fist is coming towards your face, but you're looking at the open hand and saying, oh, that's lovely, open hand, open hand. Okay, so in a way, I sort of agree with Christian fundamentalists, actually, on this point. You know, that occultism is a dangerous thing. Even A.J. Rawlings, even Harry Potter, you know, going around cursing people, you know, it's not nice. You know, forbidden magics, and yet they're all over and yet they're in her novels, right? So perhaps it's not a good idea to have any contact or access to any of this secret knowledge at all, until you're absolutely ready to have access to it. And of course, I don't really know how on earth you judge anybody ready to meet this knowledge. So that's why I suppose people just have to take pot luck, and if it sends them insane and makes them into serial killers, I don't know, you know. It's all over the internet, and people just have to sink or swim with it, really. But I don't like that. I'm worried about that. You know, things are secret for a damn good reason. You know, you don't let people play with poisons if they don't know anything about what they're doing. But it's not just that. What's more, the subtle point is the point that I've made during this presentation, that it's all part of the demiurge. You're still part of illusion, of Maya. Even if you're right up there in an etheric level number, I don't know, 142, and you're meeting with some great spiritual leaders apparently, and gurus are flying around with wings of gold, you don't know. It's still part of Maya. Okay, you haven't got anywhere. You haven't really got anywhere. So, and you may say to me, well, where are we getting to? How do I know about the authentic? How do I know when it's authentic? And all I can say to you is to repeat that Jesus said about the apocalypse, when the apocalypse happens, you'll know about it. Okay, you won't be under any illusion then. It'll be happening before your eyes. The apocalypse will be there. You can taste it, smell it, pinch it, you know, feel it. You know, you'll see it. You'll know it. Okay, this isn't going to be fantasy. This is going to be say, well, you know, is this Uri Geller bending spoons? You know, the spoon will be bending, all right, and it will be the spoon will be bending, and your mind will be bending the spoon, and you'll be under no doubt. It won't be you know, is this a trick? Is this charlatanism? You'll damn well know it's for real. Okay. And I say that, and I haven't even experienced it yet, you know. And I think that you will know it, and then you'll be able to say to people, yes, I know it, because you'll have tripped over it in the dark, and you'll be flat on your nose and saying, yes, I did trip over the gnosis because I actually did trip over it. And it wasn't a psilocybin experience or some kind of fantasy brought on by eating too much cheese at night. It was really, really there. And until you've had that real experience, then I would suggest that all occult knowledge is either gobbledygook. It's either, oh, I don't need this knowledge. It's like lighting a candle against the sun. Or it's secret knowledge which can be taught to you, but very, very, very carefully and very gently, and making sure that your consciousness does not become trapped by all the interesting, distracting rubbish, as I might call it, of the occult worlds. So there you are. It's a bit of a rant, and I don't know if this presentation will help you. A lot of you won't believe it at all. You'll say, oh, this is the age of truth. It doesn't matter. People can do whatever they like, do the Ouija boards and do the tarot and, and channel things, and doesn't matter. Everything's okay. Nothing is good or evil anyway. And what does it matter? We can do anything. And if you want to believe that, well, that's fine. But it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit sad because you're still going to be under the demiurge, whatever you do, and whatever you don't do. So it's just a bit of a shame, really. That's all. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe you're not going to perhaps have your head spinning around like in the Exodus. Maybe that won't happen. But there's something glorious and miraculous also won't happen to you. You won't receive the gnosis, and so maybe your head won't be spinning. But your head also won't be spinning, if you know what I mean. And so, therefore, I express the worry with which I started this presentation. And if you feel worried about it as well, then I suppose I can reassure you in the fact that the people that know, the people that do have esoteric knowledge, well, they actually have a whole new lot of knowledge for you to learn if you're ready to learn it. Which you definitely won't find on the internet anywhere. And it will be orally transmitted, and you won't be able to write it down. No one will be able to write it down. And what you can gain from the internet, all the Kabbalistic knowledge and all that, is so trite compared to what you could learn from a real occult master. That's kind of, to me, that's kind of reassuring, actually. That's kind of reassuring. But the trouble is then, you'll accuse me of being a secret monger and saying, oh, well, I have the secret, give me $1,000 an hour and I'll tell you it. I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to, even if I did know, which I don't, I wouldn't charge you $1,000 an hour. I wouldn't charge you any money at all for it. And anyway, I wouldn't give you the secret knowledge until you provided me with evidence of real gnosis. And I don't even know what that evidence is, so I can hardly be impressed by what you tell me or show me or whatever if I don't know myself. It's the blind leading the blind. So I don't know. I shall remain open to the action of the Holy Spirit. I shall remain open. I shall do or not do what I'm not doing now, and just have to wait and see. Wait and see. Can you wait? And can you see in this modern world? Can you wait? And can you see?